Hi there, Pokemon community and Pokemon fans in general. My name is Levenot, aka Warfare 120. I no longer go by that name anymore, so I guess it's just Levenot. Anyway, big news been going on recently in the Pokemon community. It's been back to the old war we've always dealt with, which is basically Verlisify versus DuncanKneeDeep. And it sucks that this is still going on, guys. This has been a war that's been going on since 2016, maybe even earlier. I remember it distinctly back in 2016, though. Back whenever they were doing the whole free-for-all thing, and then the hacking thing, and Verlisify's always been big on no-genning natural breeding, which I understand its position, and DuncanKneeDeep doesn't really care, which most of us don't care, because honestly, who cares? And it's just about having fun. But, obviously, there's been a lot of bad blood between those two guys. It's been one of those divisive issues in the Pokemon community for years. And finally, last month, something really, really epic happened. And we thought we were finally going to have an opportunity to get past this, right? Because there was a rallying thing that happened in the Pokemon community where we figured out something that was a problem for us. We had predators in our community, which, to be honest with you, I'm glad that finally got talked about. It's one of those things that I was always hoping that never was going to happen, but in reality, my background was originally in pastoral ministry, and one of the things they teach you in that industry is anytime anybody can have access to minors or children, there will always eventually be attempts by those people with the access to those children or minors to groom or conduct pedophilia activity with. And that's just one of those things that you are taught in those fields of industry or fields of practice, that to be mindful of and be watchful for any type of predatory activity. Things such as grooming, isolating, shunning, and then which things that are basically designed to make someone feel alone and feel like they have to be loved by that person, and then of course then coaxing them into sexual activity over time, which is freaking disgusting. And here's the thing, is that we found out a couple people that have been doing practices like that, practices that have been, thank God for most part, have been only over the internet, because it does alleviate a lot more of physical actual damage, but nonetheless it's still messed up beyond all reason. And I'm so glad that these people have talked about it. If you are a survivor of these people, I am so sorry that the community failed you. I'm so sorry that you were involved in those issues, and I hope you the best long term. This opportunity came about, though, and the Pokemon community in general took a huge rallying cry behind it, and Verlisify pointed this out. People that had been at odds with him for years had finally used this as an opportunity to go, we need to make amends and get on the right side. He showed proof in a recent video that Glitch City, who's the #1 music maker for Pokemon, we had Game Boy Luke, Mystic Umbreon, a lot of people that are very popular in the community. Hoodlum Scrafty, who was actually a victim of King Nappy, and actually really kind of helped blow the lid off on all these guys at once by starting that wave of coming forward, sort of a Pokemon Me Too movement. And really, it's so amazing how that was happening, and we were finally starting to get past this and unifying behind the stance of, using this no pedo stance as kind of a rallying cry to get back together. Because let's be honest, the Pokemon community is very different, very vulnerable, and very strange, because we have a lot of people out there who, have alternative sexual identities, alternative gender identities, people who are trying to figure themselves out. And honestly, we got to be supportive of that and be mindful of that and be watchful for those who are vulnerable. And here's a big thing that happened. Rather than, these two main people, DuncanKneeDeep and Verlisify, who have been at odds with each other, hardcore button heads for 3+ years, rather than, turning the chair toward one another and just talking and being able to work out their differences, they're both striking venom back at each other again. DuncanKneeDeep, starts putting out tweets again saying that Verlis is evil, calling Verlis a Nazi, putting Verlis on terms of saying that this is someone that we shouldn't make peace with. And Verlisify is basically just released a video calling DuncanKneeDeep a real predator. Why are we doing this, guys? We're better than this. This is not the real issue. Okay? At the end of the day, this has nothing to do with your egos. It has nothing to do with the fact that both of you have had videos or problems with one another against each other. I get it. Both of you have been in drama with each other for years, and that's not going to heal overnight. I'm not asking you to be best friends. I'm asking you to drop the hatchet in favor of helping the community come together and recenter itself around people that are not going to be taking advantage of the younger people in this, in that regard. And that's what needs to happen. With this whole situation going about, we lost some really key people that we had basically built whole communities and structures around. People that really we centered our community around. We no longer have them involved in our community. Even if you want to say that King Nappy, does come back into our community, he's not back in our community. Let's be honest with this right now. The kind of stuff that he's done, as well as other people have done with this, they're not coming back into the community. They can try to make more videos or whatnot, but the actual already formulated Pokemon community that we have right here, they're not going to be a part of it. You already know that. I already know that. We all already know that. We have to basically unify right now and be able to build a void to make sure that people that do come into Pokemon, because let's be honest, Pokemon will always attract new viewers and new people who are interested. And we need to make sure that the people that come into Pokemon are coming in to the right group of people. Because here's the thing. There are thousands and thousands of hours of video cataloged, archived, with thousands and hundreds of thousands and millions of views behind these predators. And we need to make sure that we build a bigger, better catalog that does not have these predators centered around that. To make sure that new viewers that come into Pokemon are not drawn toward those guys. And we need to put the hatchets down right now and stop calling each other out, stop calling each other predators. DuncanKneeDeep is not a predator, alright? At least we don't know that to be a predator. Look, Verlisify made a good point saying that he thought it was weird that Duncan didn't know anything about Hoodlum Scrafty's inappropriate relationship with Nappy. They are best friend type things, and I would expect someone to know about that. But honestly, at the same time, think of it the same way that people do when it comes to sexual assault victims. They don't talk about it. Why? Because it's embarrassing stuff. Nobody wants to admit that they were a victim. Alright? Especially guys. Especially guys. So here's the thing, guys. Duncan, Verlisify, I ask you to basically stop with the bull crap. Stop calling each other names and throwing hate back and forth, because honestly, all you're doing is servicing to gather up your troops on both sides of an argument that should have been resolved 3 years ago, that is no longer important. That is no longer important. Here's the thing. Verlisify is allowed to have the views that he has politically. Duncan, you're not even American. So, honestly, when it comes to Verlisify's worldview and Duncan's worldview, it's going to be a very different worldview. And the fact that you guys can't agree to disagree and are getting in fights on Twitter and YouTube and pointing fingers at each other and making 20-minute long videos about how much you hate the other person or how much the other person's wrong or how much the other person's wrong. You guys are poking venom back and forth into everything, and you guys are stealing thunder away from the real issue at hand right now. The real issue going on in the Pokemon community right now is that we have to basically make sure that we have no more predatory activity going on in our community. That's the real issue right now. Stop drawing attention away from that. That's what's important. And you guys need to understand that and basically stop this crap right now, because you're drawing attention away from the real issue at hand, and it's an issue that we are really getting some headway on and are being able to really rally behind each other and figure out who we need to be centered around right now, which is not predatory activity. And you guys right now, both of you, either one of you could be and end up being the figurehead of our new community center. And right now, neither one of you are helping out with that. You need to be more like Sacred Fire. Sacred Fire, released a video, and Sacred Fire was one of the big Lumio Station guys, one of the big, guys who was part of Nappy's crew for forever. And he released a video talking about how he was sorry that he wasn't more involved in trying to protect or figure these things out. He was just more withdrawn, more back apart. And that's what really needs to happen, guys. More of us need to be like that and take a personal ownership and accountability and say, you know what? I wasn't as involved in figuring this out, and I need to figure out what we can do. So we need to be more like that. Verlisify, DuncanKneeDeep, please, going forward, stop with the venom, focus on the real issue, which is figuring out and making sure that we have no more predatory activity created or started or recurring or coming to surface ever again in the Pokemon community. We don't need that. Pokemon will always stay attracted to the young. Young folks will always come into Pokemon. It's just the way Pokemon is made. We may keep getting older, but Pokemon's general age group will primarily stay the same. And we need to accept that and make sure that we are protective of those newcomers into our audiences over time. Going forward, guys, I challenge you to please stop with the venom and get back to the real issue, which is making sure predators are not in our community. Thank you. Please, please, I hope that this reaches your ears, guys. If you like this video, please put a like on there. Please let me know what your thoughts are into this argument. How can we make our community better and make sure that we don't have any more predatory activity? How can we be better watchdog service to make sure that kind of activity where people are coerced into inappropriate conversations with people well above their age group? How can we make sure that people are protected on here? Thank you. Have a wonderful night. Talk to you soon. Bye.